Was that really Nick? Is that Nick?
Is that me?
Are you Nick Brecken?
Hi.
Oh, Big Dots Nick.
Big Dots Brecken.
BDB. BD Wong. Me saying BDB, BD Wong back to back.
You mean BTB?
Yeah.
Back to back?
Yeah, BTB, BDB, BD Wong. HPB Wong. Chat is doing good work right now.
HPB Wong is very good. I got a message from Justin McElroy who heard us talking about or heard our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 because I put that on because it was stupid, and he was saying how they do it for my brother and me, which is that they count in a round, so it would be 1, 2, 3, 4.
How do they do that though? 1, 2, 3.
Oh yeah, Nick. Let's count off.
4,
all right, here we go.
5.
Well, you're way off. 1, 2, 3,
4,
5,
6, 7, 8.
Okay, let's try this again. Row. Welcome to the Idle Thumbs Ruination Online.
Wow, I got scooped by Jake. This is the monthly live stream on which we answer questions posed to us by high-tier patrons of our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/idlethumbs. For Idle Thumbs, I am Chris Remo.
I'm Nick Brecken.
I'm Jake Rodkin.
And Nick Brecken is here
Hi.
in the studio.
Hello.
Welcome back from Canada.
Thanks.
You're here forever now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's
I'm
really
leaving in 2 hours.
Oh
Wait,
my
really?
God.
You're going back to
No.
Okay.
What?
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
You ready to answer some questions?
Yeah, that's why I'm here.
All right. Fair enough. I thought you were here to hang out with us, but okay.
No.
All right. Well, fine.
I heard there were questions that needed to be answered.
Here's these questions you love so much.
I keep trying.
You keep trying.
I keep trying to answer the questions, but I can't without Nick here in America. I'm glad we have American Brecken back.
All right. Well, speaking of American Brecken, Alex Schroeder asks, the Idle Thumbs Patreon campaign is 1 year old as of this week. Oh, that's amazing. How do you feel about it these days? Is the Ruination worth it?
The Ruination is definitely worth it. That element of this Patreon campaign has been fantastic, and I love doing it every month. We are months behind on the postcards again, just so everyone knows.
More to come on that later in this very stream. Yeah, I agree. I like doing the Ruination. It's fun. It's a very low it's a low stakes, I guess, is the word I'm looking for, podcast to do.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the Ruination, Nick?
I love it.
Good.
Yeah. I love it just as much as Richard Linklater's Everybody Wants Some.
More to come on that as well. How do we feel about the Patreon campaign generally these days?
It's good. I think that we bit off more than we should have with the postcard campaign, which in our stupid style, we're like, postcards would be fun. What if the postcards
That's not cool and interesting enough. Yeah. What if we introduce
what if it was a Baroque,
complicator,
impossible machine? Actually, here, hold on. Let's just quickly... can I do this?
It is surprising that we've been doing the Patreon for a year, though.
Yeah, it does not feel like that, but it's certainly true.
You can see this, which is...
Oh, God.
This is our archive. This is 1/3 of the current...
People probably
Patreon.
can't hear you at all.
Oh, this is 1/3 of the current Patreon postcard archive of the sort of possibility space of this stupid postcard choose your own adventure that we've made. We're sorry.
Well, I'm just going to go ahead actually then and just chain this other question on. Brian Brannon says, it's the old favorite question, what's up with the postcards? And Daniel adds, Thumbs, can we just get a monthly update on the postcards during the Ruination so that subs don't feel it necessary to use their question for this? Yeah, we probably should do that.
Did they ask a second question after that, or did they?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Oh, not the person who asked about the postcards, no.
See, what a waste.
Yeah, but the person who said, can we get the monthly update, did ask a real question. The thing that's up with the postcards is that we are behind on them, but are still working on them. We have... I think there are actually still some cards here in the office that we can send out.
Maybe.
I think there are.
Okay.
Because we placed that additional order for the one. We ran out of a certain variant of cards
that's true.
because they ended up being a really widely used branch of the story.
Yeah.
So we reordered those. So some people are probably missing one more month than they should be.
Yep.
So those can go out, and then we have new stories from Nick that we need to place the order for the postcards for those months, and then that's what's next, basically.
Yep.
It's really hard to describe the process of these because it's by design such a weird, opaque.
I think that we should probably... So people in the Idle Thumbs Reader Slack have been doing a very good job of chronicling this stuff. However, the Idle Thumbs Reader Slack is a free Slack, so its history erases itself every couple of months.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, we should probably just make a forum thread in the Idle Thumbs episode forum. We'll just do it ourselves. That is like, here's the postcards, and we'll put the state of them in there. I don't know how much of the actual explicit content we should give away.
We probably shouldn't put it all in there.
No, I mean, I think we should tell people approximately how it works and then let people who have received all the stuff fill in and document it.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Okay, let's do that.
And we'll also update when they ship and stuff in there as well. So there's a permanent home.
Okay, good idea. All right. Next question. Tom Grundy asks, what's your go-to meal if you're trying to impress someone with your cooking ability?
I don't. I never make that promise.
5 pounds of Twizzlers.
10 pounds of food will appear.
They're impressed not only by my cooking ability, but my wizardry.
My ability to summon that food.
Nick, what do you... This seems like something you would have a good answer for.
Oh, God.
Do you roast a chicken?
Yeah, I suppose
That's what I would do
so.
now, actually.
Yeah,
now that
I suppose so.
Started doing that a lot.
Yeah.
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 If I'm trying to if I have basically nothing in the house, I make a thing that is weirdly more impressive than it should be is cacio e pepe, which is a long thin pasta like spaghetti or fettuccine or something. I don't remember which one it's canonically supposed to be, and just olive oil and black pepper and Parmesan cheese basically. And if you make it right, it's just a delicious, creamy snack. You can make it really quickly if you know how to do it well. And it punches way above its weight in terms of ingredients. So it looks like you turned essentially basic pantry staples into a really surprisingly tasty dish. And I like doing that. But I don't know that I've ever been in the position of trying
Oh, I used to try to do that.
Oh, for dates and stuff?
Yeah, I would go way over the top.
To do that, yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. I would just.
Did it ever go wrong? Because that's what people want to hear about.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I think it did. Actually, one time. Okay, yeah, it definitely did. Oh yeah. Well, one. All right. Now I'll just tell a personal story. This is gonna embarrass Janelle, but that's fine. Oh, you know what? No, I'm fully backing out of that. No, what? No. I jumped forward
Did you hear Nick just play the story to himself?
God. Oh yeah.
No. Wait a minute.
Oh, come on.
No.
Can you just sort of drop some vague hints as to what happened?
I will describe it generally, which is that I spent a long time making boeuf bourguignon from scratch, which is not, it's a fairly straightforward thing to kind of compile.
You don't need to downplay it. It's okay.
But no, it's not actually hard to do. It just takes time. And it just turned out that Janelle could not eat a single bite of it.
Oh, no.
And I just, was trying so desperately to, impress her with this, and she was just like, mm-mm. And
wow.
It's just very, I guess I'll eat. And then that was it. Another time I made...
Did you at least describe the food while you were eating
Oh, yeah.
it?
I was this is...
Were you cooking show
toasted,
host? Yeah.
This toasted bread and it's delicious. Crunch.
I like that you made this.
ASMR.
I like that you made
some lip smacking and
It's interesting that you made this sort of impressive French dish, and then the thing you commented on was the toasted bread.
Well,
the thing that you bore the least responsibility for.
I had a good toaster. No, I did that. I also one time made creme brulee, which is not easy to make. Actually,
yeah,
it's kind of a pain.
I wouldn't try and make a creme brulee.
And it's time intensive. And during the middle of it, there's a stage at which it's very precarious. If you kind of wait too long to, or you sort of have to watch it, or it'll sort of collapse or whatever. And I realized I had forgotten vanilla. I forgot to have vanilla on hand and could not actually complete that stage. So I ran out to the store, ran back. It had been ruined. I started over. Completed it again while I was pulling so at a certain point you have to put the brulees in a bath, like a water bath inside the oven.
Wow.
And for some reason it didn't occur to me to just put the brulee dishes in the water bath that was already in the oven. I put them on the tray in the water and tried to carry the whole thing into the oven because I think I was just at that cooking stage of just like
delirium.
Yeah, just everything's
everything's
when
a disaster.
And
you get in a manic mode because you fucked one thing up and then you just ruin it all.
Yeah, and and like brulee and water in the hot oven, just like steam and brulee and oh my God, it was a disaster. And then I made it a third time and it was fine.
Really? You made it a third time?
But it was not impressive. It was just like, oh, it's just it tastes like it's tasty. Good. All right, moving on.
Right. Meanwhile,
it's not at all like effective.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Just make a chicken or a spaghetti.
Yeah. When I was young enough, making tomato sauce from scratch was impressive enough to people at my same age, that got me a pretty decent ways. But
yeah.
Nobody cares these days.
Well, now I feel like anything because of the internet, because now, and this is a good thing generally, I think, but like because it's so easy now to learn about things and get good at them quickly because of YouTube videos and stuff. There's no that was sort of something that I could deploy from a time when I literally learned it from my dad, who learned it from his Italian mother.
But now if you type tomato space S, it will autocomplete sauce from scratch.
Right,
it's one of the top
and
three.
You make the one that's been tested against 900 variants in a fucking kitchen. Mine was I learned this from my dad, and I thought it was delicious growing up, and it basically is, pretty much. But I'm sure.
Wow, roasted.
No, I just mean
the tomatoes in your dad's. No.
I just mean it's it's not even an actual recipe. It's just a series of steps I observed, right? But it's not. But I mean, if you were gonna,
I'm just now contextualizing this all as your comment on the recipe. This isn't even a recipe. It's just a series of steps. 3 out of 5 stars. Not that special.
This is barely a recipe at all.
Yeah.
It's just a list of ingredients and then a method telling you how to employ those ingredients to create a final dish. Bullshit. 3 stars.
Yeah.
This is from the future where a recipe is a YouTube video.
Yeah. Exactly. Right, yeah.
This is not the recipes I was raised on. In that, a person talks to me and their dialogue is clipped heavily for maximum viewability.
And I have to pause it and rewind it 20 seconds 8,000 times in order to make this goddamn thing. Because making anything from a video is impossible. All right, next question. Tanner Huggins says, if you could have any question answered with perfect accuracy, whatever that means, what would you ask?
Nick, what was the story that you were going to tell? No.
There's no part of this that says that then it has to be answered if it's possible by somebody in the room. So
I know, I'm just thinking this exact moment. That's probably the one I would ask.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
God, you know what mine would be for real? This isn't funny, but it would seriously be real talk, for real, just straight up. Are we all going to die from climate change? Is that in our lifetimes, are we all just totally fucked or not? Are we going to fucking figure this shit out? I don't even know.
What if they're like, well, that really just depends on what you guys do.
Right.
Then you're like, fuck.
I assume that is the...
Fuck, because I'm not going to do it.
Right, because I don't feel that I have the agency to solve this. And I was like, well, I give you a revised answer.
Yeah. What if I do a little? What if I donate?
How much am I?
$10 a month? $15 a month? Okay, 20.
The fact that I assume that is actually the answer is exactly why that's the question I would ask in a magical setting. Because I know that in a non-magical
the person would be like,
setting, that's the answer.
But you got me. It depends. Right, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, so that means that fate is not determined.
Right.
You only got one question. Fuck, I gotta go. Don't fuck it up.
The fact that Nick, I'm guessing that wasn't even the question you thought I was gonna ask, but the fact that there are half a dozen questions that fit into that same sort of existential.
It was basically the question that I thought you were gonna ask. It was not really that.
It wasn't. That says a lot about our time right now. This is gonna be one of half a dozen things, and they're all equally distressing.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, do you have one?
It's basically that. We can move on.
Yeah. All right. Torbjorn Grunevik Dahl asks, if you only got to play Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis one more time before you die, would you choose...
that coming on the back of what you just... Are we all gonna die? Because I really need to play that game if we're gonna die.
gotta play Fate of Atlantis.
Fate of Atlantis.
But I know what this is gonna be though. Then it's like, shit. Do I play the wits path, the fists path, or the team path?
Well, so that's the question.
I
Would you
know.
play the team path, the wits path, or the path, or the fist path, or neither, and play Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, the action game instead?
Step 1, absolutely not the action game.
No.
Step 2, team path,
Team
probably.
Path for sure.
Team,
Path,
yeah.
Definitely. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that is the actual game.
Hal Barwood disagrees, Chris. The player can choose the path
Yeah,
they want
except that
for
they're-
Indiana Jones to take.
Except that they're literally just 3 different uniquely created games. Like, they have some overlap, but it's not as though there's
I know.
like some interesting like emergent behavior going on. They're just 3 games, and 2 of them are worse than one of them.
Yes.
Like, one of them has the what's her name?
Sophia?
Sophia. One of them has the Sophia character in it most of the time, and the other ones don't, and it makes the game worse.
Yep.
The end.
Well, I guess we can all just die now.
Well, you still have to play it once more.
Well, that's fine.
You better don't use any like hint guides or anything, otherwise you'll be speeding up your own demise.
The rule of this is that you do get to finish the game.
Yeah, I think the team path is probably also the longest one, so that
So, like-
that helps.
Or if you just want to end it, play the fists path and just use the sucker punch button to just uppercut Nazis and then die.
Yes, that's the other thing that sucks about that mode is there's just sort of a cheat button for it. It's just
Yeah.
stupid. Anyway, that's a good game if you play the team path, Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. All right, next question. Gary Marshall asks, "What is your favorite ABBA song?"
I think we have to collectively agree on what Idle Thumbs' favorite ABBA song is. I don't think that individual answers for this question are good.
Okay, well, mine is pretty specific, so I don't know. So
Oh, well.
we'll see where that goes. But no, you can feel free to chain onto it if you want.
Though I said that mostly because I don't care about ABBA and don't have a favorite ABBA
I
song.
don't particularly care about ABBA, but I definitely have a favorite ABBA song, which for a very like arbitrary reason, which is that for the first, I don't know how long, maybe year of the podcast My Brother and Me, the song that they used as their theme song in an unlicensed, unlawful fashion was Take a Chance on Me by ABBA.
When was that?
That was like the first year or two
Okay.
of My Brother and Me. I don't remember exactly how long it was. And so I've heard
That
the
song.
beginning of that song like a million times.
Oh, it's an earworm too in a weird
It's
way.
a total it's
in a weird way.
Exactly, it is.
I had that in my head a month
You can't
ago.
really sing it easily.
Yeah, it's this like little thing that gnaws at you. It's like take a chance on me. It's just
Yeah.
like, oh, get out of there.
Yeah, and the melody is like this wacky angular thing. But because of that, it's just
It's the one?
I also have positive associations with it because it was in front of a thing I liked listening to, and I still think of that as the theme song to My Brother and Me, even though now the one that they use by the Long Winters has been there for a lot longer.
way longer,
For
yeah.
way longer, yeah. I still think of that ABBA one as the theme song to that podcast, so that's probably my favorite ABBA song. I saw the Mamma Mia musical live on Broadway from sitting in the orchestra pit because my mom met a guy who played guitar, I think, in the orchestra of Mamma Mia, the ABBA musical. And she was like, "Oh, my son's a musician." He's like, "Great, bring him along to the
So
show."
you just sat with the orchestra?
So I sat with the orchestra
Wow.
and watched Mamma Mia.
That was
on
probably a
Broadway.
fun place to be
It was
sitting for
totally
that show,
fun.
yeah.
It was totally fun. Yep.
So on podcasts, you can really just use unlicensed music, and it's fine as long as you don't upload it to YouTube, as evidenced by literally every podcast that exists.
Well, my brother and me had to stop using it because they eventually got
Oh, someone noticed?
famous enough that they could. I
Yeah,
mean,
but-
I think once it was a thing that they were actually making real money from, they couldn't.
I just have never understood how the licensing works
Yeah.
for things like 99% Invisible has been a podcast for years at all scales of operation, and they only recently got their own composer, but I don't feel like it's because they were being dinged for infringing music.
This is
Maybe it's because
actually-
they go through a radio station so they can get like a broadcast,
Yeah.
they can
If anyone-
piggyback onto that.
If anyone
Yeah.
knows how this works, please tell me because I've been curious for so long. When podcasts and radio shows.
Where they're just like, we're just going to blast a Beatles song at you for a
Yeah,
minute. And it's like,
well,
excuse
it's only-
me?
it's like-
Excuse me?
Yeah.
If I put that in my YouTube video, it would be erased and I might have a copyright strike.
Exactly. Yeah. It's shocking to me because you'll be listening to some like financial thing, and they'll be like, "Anyway, and that's why the financial markets this week sent the message, let it be." And then they'll play Let It Be by the Beatles, and it has no relevance except that
I know.
someone made
Imagine-
a goofy
imagine if,
pun
like-
or something,
Yeah.
and then that happens, and I'm like, did they pay for this shit? What
Right.
the
Imagine
hell?
if every episode of This American Life and Planet Money decided to put their content on YouTube and how just destroyed they would be in like half
Yeah.
a second. We're like, sorry, you have 50,000 copyright strikes. Like you have 50,000 content ID flags. None of your videos can be monetized, and a third of them have been taken down instantly. Like, sorry guys, but they must have some.
Yeah, how does that work?
I know if you're a radio station,
before.
you don't need to license each individual song. There's sort of blanket broadcaster licensing rates
Right.
and rules. And I think that a lot of the podcasts that do that are actually associated with radio stations, then release them as MP3s, like as like a
grandfathered in.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough. Someone, please tell us. Please call me.
All right. So I don't know. I guess there's no additional ABBA.
DMCA doesn't apply to radio. That's also not relevant. The DMCA is not the be all and end all of copyright. Like,
copyright still exists.
Like you could, DMCA doesn't. Sorry, someone in chat said that. It's like that's true, but that's not the entire point. Like if you literally just put the theme from Star Wars in a movie and put it in a theater, someone would notice, even though they didn't have to DMCA you. Unless it's Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which fucking is licensed the Star Wars theme somehow. What the fuck?
Well, I mean, I believe that Ferris Bueller's Day
I know,
Off,
but
the
like,
fucking lawyers behind that studio
I know,
that released
that movie
film
just fell in the
figure that out.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off must have come out at like just the right time.
Maybe
to
if we-
In the car, he was
license.
listening to NPR at the time, and then it just
Maybe
You just sort of hear my glass as it goes away.
maybe if we release all of our if we compile all of our podcasts into a feature film and then put all of the like Beatles tracks and Star Wars themes in them and then get it screened like at the local Alamo Draft House or whatever, we can circumvent this and then release the podcast as like a bootleg camcorder filming of that movie screening and then put that on YouTube, and maybe that'll be enough steps removed.
Well, no, so
that
we
the
then
audio-
claim copyright on that, and then we retroactively grant permission to all of our episodes.
There you go.
Okay.
I see,
People in chat have pointed out that probably part of it is that there are fair use considerations for playing up to like a half a minute of a song if it's like sort of thematically related or any sort of commentary. And podcasts, since they aren't on YouTube, still fall under something a lot closer to the actual laws of fair use as opposed to a corporation's arbitrarily decided.
Yeah, the DMCA and the YouTube Content ID stuff, just you could have any amount of anything in there and it'll just get instantly slammed.
It's not the YouTube Content ID stuff is not explicitly the DMCA either. It's sort of YouTube stepping one step in front of it before DMCA.
Right,
stuff
but it can be
happens.
used to enforce the DMCA.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm assuming you guys have no more ABBA. Opinions.
No, but you should
Okay.
play some right now so this episode gets a content flag.
If you change your mind, I'm the first in line. Honey, I'm still free. Take a chance on me.
Michael Jakes asks, what is the most positive, uplifting thing you've seen on the internet lately? I'm sure that there are some.
Oh, there! I know because I'm trying to think of like what are the things.
There must be one thing.
There's got to be one thing.
There are things on the internet that just bring me.
There's just like fun animals and stuff. There's
know.
like good animals that are fun.
I'm trying to think of like ones that just bring me joy whenever I see them, to the point that I sometimes seek them out for comfort, because that is a thing that.
Oh, the Pepe Sylvia like drum sync guy.
What?
You know the guy who plays the drums in sync to the Pepe Sylvia scene from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
No.
You don't know that?
No.
Neither of you know this?
No.
Do you know? Have either of you guys watched It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Not
Nope.
regularly.
Oh man. Okay. Well, there's a scene in which one of the characters goes on an absolutely outrageous sort of conspiracy theory rant about a fictional, like a possibly fictional coworker at a company that he's been hired at, and he goes on this absolutely just outrageous jag about it. And then a guy on the internet, a really excellent jazz drummer or student or something, took the audio of that and then and then superimposed it. Like there's a video of him at a drum set, and then the video from the show superimposed on it. And as the character is going through this outrageous rant, the drummer is
Oh, I have seen that. It's
drumming
fantastic.
exactly in time,
Like the sort of
to
the cadence of everything.
to everything he's saying in a way that is so creative and clever and just masterful and perfect. It is wonderful.
Jesus Christ. That right there is the mail. Now let's talk about the mail. Can we talk about the mail, please, Malcolm? I'm dying to talk about the mail for you all day, okay? Pepe Sylvia. This name keeps coming up over and over again. Every day, Pepe's mail's getting sent back to me. Pepe Sylvia, Pepe Sylvia. I look at the mail. What this whole box is Pepe Sylvia.
Okay, so actually the thing on the internet that is like one of my favorite, most comforting things that I do actually go back to every few weeks
Yeah.
is the video of Nick playing Far Cry 2 when you're playing the guitar, and then Nick is trying to snipe a guy, and someone else, another NPC's head pops right in front of his scope as he takes the shot, and then Chris, you go ape shit on the guitar.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it so much. Like, it just makes me happy to watch it.
No! No, you son of a bitch! Fuck! Christ! Fucking Christ!
You know, my favorite part about that clip is that I couldn't see anything that was happening on the screen because of how I was sitting, and so I was doing
Just
it
composed to me.
I was doing it entirely to Nick's
Good.
reaction.
Yeah, that's funny.
And so my experience when I'm watching that is different than the experience of other people watching it, because I remember being there and being totally bemused, and like you were freaking out, and I'm like, I have no idea what happened or went wrong or anything, but I'm doing my best
It's really funny.
Yeah,
to match the energy.
it lined up very well. The other thing that I occasionally watch
We'll link to that as well.
over and over, and just whenever I want to be, well, I at one point on an Important If True, I endorsed the sort of YouTube mashup album Through You. That's the thing that I watch all the fucking time still.
Yeah.
And
That's a very uplifting thing.
Let's just pick the mother of all funk chords. Let's pick a ninth chord.
there's a music video that I also watch a lot, and it's specific to my tastes.
Is
but
it Gangnam Style?
No. Chris, that's what you watch.
I did. I watched it the other night for the first time.
Because of the Olympics?
Yeah, because people said that it was in the Olympics, and I watched it for the first time in like a year. And this is such a good video.
There's a music video for the band Justice for the song DVNO, which is just a 4-letter acronym, and I'm sure it stands for something probably suspicious, but I don't care because the music video is a motion graphics recreation of like every VHS era and sort of like early cable era logo, but it's all reworked to be the lyrics of the song, or sort of motion graphic treatments
that's
inspired
cool.
by it, and it's like
That sounds weird. That's
it
your
is
jam for
it's
sure.
pristine. It is so good. It's like, man, it's a very good music video.
That's definitely a Jake uplifting thing. That's like if Jake wants to be encouraged and uplifted.
You would lose your mind
I'm
over
sure
it,
I would
Chris.
love it.
It's exactly what you love.
I'm sure I would.
Anyway.
Nick, you got anything?
Yeah, actually, lately when Janelle and I are need an uplifting thing, we go on YouTube and just queue up like a 10-minute Vine compilation.
Back at it again at Krispy Kreme.
Oh, that's a good thing to watch.
Oh, that's good.
It's so good. Like, oh man, it brings you back. It brings you back to a better
Yeah,
time,
I
and
know.
also
R.I.P. Vine.
their quality, just like clips that just.
Jake is literally now sitting here watching that
Oh, it's
video.
so good. God, it's such a good music video. It's fucking crazy how good it is.
Yeah. No, Vine compilations are good.
Yeah,
though.
that is true.
Yeah.
That's the good thing to watch.
Yep.
All right. Man, we're really lingering in these questions. We gotta speed
it's
it up.
gonna be a long night.
Ian McNichol says, if you could do a crossover episode with another podcast outside the Idle Thumbs network, which one would it be and why?
We would shame ourselves wildly and horribly, and it would be a disaster. But my brother and me would be a thing that I would love to be
a
on.
Bloodbath.
We'd be wrecked.
Yeah.
I just want to be in the room while they record the podcast.
Yeah,
I don't
that'd
need to
be
be on
fun.
it. Fuck it. We couldn't be on anyone else's podcast.
Yeah.
Video games hot dog.
That's pointless.
I know.
They literally record in this room. They come in and sit on the same chairs we use already.
I just like, what podcast could we be on that we would actually be beneficial to that podcast
As a
and
group?
it
Yeah, I
would be
don't even know.
interesting to us? Like, there's none.
Yeah.
Like, any of us wanting to be on any other individual podcast would either be, I feel like, a no-brainer or just pure wish fulfillment where we would underperform. That's
Yeah.
my suspicion, at least for me personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what show am I going to be on that would be good?
Yeah, I don't know.
That isn't just me being like, happy to be here. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
I feel like any of us individually could easily be on a number of other podcasts as a guest, but as
a group,
as
it would be,
as like
yeah.
this podcast meets this podcast. I will fucking gladly try that. By the way, if any like more famous podcast than us, of which there are many, wants to, for absolutely no reason, incorporate us into a crossover, please do.
The only time that has ever actually worked and was really successful and fun is when Giant Bomb does those sort of like clusterfuck GDC episodes where they just have a couch or like two tables with a billion people.
Yeah.
We did those a lot of years in a row when they did
That's
them
true.
out of San Francisco.
Yeah.
And that was really fun. But that was just deliberately a hot mess. That was basically just a huge live stream.
Yeah. Andrew Bailey says, "What about the year 2018 has you the most excited?"
Fuck you.
It's not 2017. I don't know. It's one.
Is that better?
It's hopefully marginally better. I mean,
let's talk about the last 4 days of news. 2 days.
I don't even know what you're referring to because it's all you could say that about literally any.
Yeah, pick a number of days. Yeah.
And how does that prove your point more than mine? Sorry.
I don't know, man.
I mean, we're one step closer to being dead.
Yeah, we're not going to be. We're slightly less.
I have less time to be here.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I mean,
Looking forward to playing
presumably-
Fate of Atlantis again before I die.
We're one step closer to that last Fate of Atlantis playthrough.
Maybe we're not even 1 year closer to
What
death.
is the most positive, uplifting thing you've seen on the
Jesus.
internet lately? Not this live stream.
No.
Jesus
No,
Christ.
Christ.
I'm sorry.
Oy.
Mickey P asks, I'm sorry, I don't know. what to
No.
say. Mickey P asks, why do you refer to your listeners of your podcast as readers? Is there some lost piece of Thumb's lore that explains this?
Well, we're reading this off a piece of paper right now, so we refer to the items people send in these days as readers. It's sort of, it's like a lend-borrow
Like talkies.
situation.
Like,
It's
yeah,
like a
yeah.
talkie. This is a reader. It's because Idle Thumbs at one point was a news site and blog, like now a billion years ago.
Before the word blog was really much of a thing.
Yeah.
It was
Or
just
before,
a, it was just a
when blog
website.
meant something far more specific. We were just a website with
It
a
was an
news page
editorial
and,
website,
and
yeah.
reviews and whatever else. So people who wrote in, who thought they read the site. So
Yeah.
you're a reader.
So when we started the podcast, I think we just sort of we were so accustomed. It wasn't an intentional joke initially. We
was just reader mail.
We were so accustomed to thinking of the people who visited our site as readers, even though at that point the editorial part of the website had already been defunct for like at least a year. We still just said readers, and it just stuck, and we just say it now.
Yep.
That's the answer. It's very concrete. So Johannes Koski says, apart from pouring out of a hole in a warmest greetings cup, how do you like your coffee? Plain, I guess.
Yep.
I don't really put anything in my coffee.
I occasionally put a little bit of milk in it, but even that is increasingly rare. It's just regular ass, super hot, gross coffee.
How about you, Nick?
Same.
Yeah. I just last week.
A peppermint
Last week.
Well,
learned-
yeah, actually, all right, you go ahead.
and
I was just-
alcohol.
No,
was
actually, I
just-
hate that.
It has its place, Nick.
I learned for the first time. This is so. I mean, I actually have no idea if this is a common thing people know or not. But I legitimately had no idea what light and dark roast actually meant until last week.
Is this one? Did you learn it because of which coffee tin should Liz buy at Whole Foods?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't ever know. I mean, I just never even thought to think about it really. When you get a cup of coffee from like a corner store or whatever, and they've got like the three different.
Right.
They just give you the cup, and then there's the
And
three
you just sort
jugs,
of
and you
choose
choose
one.
I would just arbitrarily. It
You're
was
like,
never
it seems like a light
thing.
roast kind of day.
I never even thought that. I just arbitrarily picked one based on nothing. And I wasn't even trying to not think about it. It just never even occurred to me as something to think about. And now I know, and this probably should have been obvious. I should have thought about this. It should have been clear. But a light roast is they roast it less, and a dark roast, they roast it more. And the darker the roast, the less of the original kind of origin flavor comes through. And the lighter they roast it, the more the origin flavor comes through. And a light roast is more acidic.
Yeah.
Because it retains more of
But you get
that
the sort of
character.
like caramely flavor. In
You
the
get the
darker
sour.
ones?
You
Yeah.
get that like sour taste.
Yeah.
And then the dark roast is more bitter and has less of that origin flavor. And now I know why I react so negatively to a lot of the sort of San Francisco fancy coffee, which has this very sour taste. And I just don't like it. I guess presumably because I didn't grow up drinking the sort of like I guess sort of higher quality light roasts, and it sometimes to the point where it actually makes me feel almost ill. And I'm like, now I know that is a light roast.
You're like, roast the shit out of my coffee.
Yeah, just fucking roast it till it's
Burn it.
basically charcoal, like whatever. I don't care.
I like my coffee like I like my men, roasted.
So yeah, I mean, I genuinely like basically gas station grade dark roast coffee, where it is dark and bitter, and it's just what I'm accustomed to, so I like it, I guess. And black, nothing in it.
You like your coffee like Steve Gaynor likes his friends, powerfully roasted. Oh, sorry.
Andy says, "Why do you
talking to
guys
Steve
choose to live
yesterday.
in San Francisco?"
Well,
For the coffee. Seems like a nice place to live, but insanely expensive, and I'm pretty sure I saw a guy shooting up next to a school when I visited. Please explain.
you forgot to mention that it ends with a full-fledged ASCII smiley face.
I thought you were going to say an asshole smiley face.
No.
Which also qualifies. I guess, given the totality
When
of
it's
this
the
question.
colon,
so
the
descriptive.
dash, and the parentheses, when you get the fucking nose in there, and everything is just
Yeah.
Yeah, just
just asking a question.
Just-
Meh. Just eat shit. I mean,
I don't live in San Francisco, so fuck
Yeah.
you guys. I don't know. I don't know why you live here. So
I mean,
I don't know why you came back. I don't know why you're still here.
oh fuck, can't believe
I
you've
can't believe I've
done
done it.
I mean, I live in San Francisco for the reason that I think most of the things in my life are the way they are, which is that is how they happened. Like I didn't like do a cost benefit analysis and decide to live here. It's just I went to I was born in San Francisco actually, but I went to UC Berkeley, and then after I graduated, I moved. And UC Berkeley is in Berkeley, which is right across the bay from San Francisco. And my first job, I worked from home, but it was useful for me to be in San Francisco for job-related reasons.
You also really liked San Francisco as a place to live for a long time.
Well, I did, and I spent a lot of time here as a kid, and so
Yeah, I just grew up here.
and Jake's from the area, so
So,
I
I mean,
just
you
moved
lived
to-
here because I'm from the area.
Yeah, I mean, it's just where I ended up. I mean, I think that's probably the reason most people live the place they live. But it is expensive. Yes, it is not a place where. I mean, the question would be more valid if I, as an adult, had lived somewhere else and then, apropos of nothing, chosen to live in San Francisco and move here and do all this stuff. But I didn't. It's just where I have been my whole
Well, you
adult
did
life.
move to Boston and then come back.
Yes, but that was because the Boston thing came up as like almost
but
an
you-
arbitrary opportunity.
You didn't choose to stay there when you were looking
Yeah, but
to
it's
change
because
jobs.
everyone I knew was in San Francisco, and all my
Yeah.
everything that I was connected to was in San. I mean, it was when that situation didn't work out. Like I went back to the place where everything in my life was.
I've just genuinely not lived anywhere other than Northern California for my entire life. But the longer I live in San Francisco, the more I don't really want to keep living in it. The way that I sort of have phrased this in my own brain, which is kind of a bummer, is like when I meet people who live in New York, which is the easy sort of example, the old city on the other coast. This is obviously way older and bigger and whatever. There are people who are New York lifers who I'm born in New York and I'm proud that I will hopefully die in New York. No one is proud to die in San Francisco.
Well,
not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. I mean, the thing.
I mean, San Francisco had a window of 80 years maybe where that was true, but I feel like even before that, it was also a boom town that people didn't want to die in.
Well, it's it's not so much you don't want to, it's much as that it's hard to imagine how you can do it, because New York New York is a very expensive place to live and a difficult place to live for a lot of people also, but New York has a very robust economy that spans a lot of different industries and sectors.
Yeah.
And it is also a very large place with a lot of livable land.
Yeah, San Francisco
none
doesn't,
of those things
it doesn't
apply
support a
to San-
complete
apply to
human
San
lifespan.
Francisco.
The city
Yeah.
just isn't built to
Right.
do it. At least if it ever was, it was a window that sort of closed around the time I became an adult.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Nick was the one of the three of us who proactively moved here from elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
And you did that to work at Czech News.
Yeah.
Which is where I worked.
Yeah.
At the time.
Yep.
But now you don't live here anymore.
Nope. Might come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell you what, I miss it. I do actually.
Yeah.
For reasons that I did not expect.
Like what?
Sunlight.
Oh, sure. Fair enough.
I miss my neighborhood.
Yeah.
I think if I lived in another area of San Francisco and then left that area of San Francisco, I probably wouldn't miss it as much. But I actually liked that particular neighborhood that I was living in a lot.
San Francisco is a very neighborhoody city, and if you
Yeah.
live in a good neighborhood, it's really easy to fall in love with it.
Yep. I don't miss other things, but there were some surprising things where I went,
there are a lot of things to love about this city.
Oh, it's a fantastic city. I bagged on it a minute ago, but like, there's reasons why I'm 37 years old and haven't lived anywhere else.
Yep. But it's hard to stay here.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, I won't talk about dying anymore on this podcast. Sorry, everyone. Someone in chat said, "What's good about 2018? Death. What's bad about San Francisco? Death."
What question did you ask? Are we going to die?
Well, on that note, next question.
Yeah, speaking of this, Robert Hoffman asks, if you could take care of bodily functions by performing...
I want to die right now. I want to die. Just right now, get it over with.
If you could if you could take care of bodily... God, considering death as a bodily function, it's an involuntary action.
Just, get it out of the way.
If you could take care of bodily functions by performing them in advance, how much time would you be willing to free up by performing functions in large quantities?
Well, that's a gross question. So, like, what?
Get this month's
What in the world?
booze out of the way. Just
gonna
a whole month of boo. What are you doing in there? A month's worth.
I'm calling in sick. Oh, why? What are you going to do? I'm just going to poo a lot. But don't worry, then I won't have to for a month.
I'm going to just...
Well, the company would just say, that's fine. He's taking his poo day. It's going to really free up productivity.
God, get ready, for fucking Silicon Valley to somehow design that shit.
Yeah.
So
you just got to take your poo day on a Saturday. Sorry, what, Jake?
I'm going to work from home during my poo day. I'm going to maximize it. I'm telecommuting. Oh, so this question... I started playing it out to sort of like, what other things that I don't like could I hypothetically stack? And it's, like time at the DMV. What if all of that could be done? Or like every doctor's appointment for the rest of your life? Or like brush your teeth for a week and you don't have to for however long. But then I was thinking, I was actually thinking about a specific TV special that I saw when I was a kid that put all the commercials up front so that they could air it without TV afterwards, because it was a thing that was originally meant for HBO, and then it didn't get on HBO, but the cable network agreed to play it in the original form.
Commercial breaks built in,
But then I thought, like, oh, well, what if I just didn't want to watch commercials for a month? How much commercial would I... Or what if I didn't want to see an ad? What if I didn't want to be exposed to an ad or hear an advertisement or hear a commercial for 2 months? How many minutes of my life would I have to put up front to get that experience? Like, how if I wanted to grind ads to then have an ad-free experience, it would be so long and so much of my like vision where it's like, look, any space in the world that was taken up by ads, it's that now. Any time that was taken up by ads, you have to experience all of it. And it would be like, well, what if I do want to have like a month of not having ads? Or like, well, how many days off do you have to take to get that? It's a lot, I bet. It would be and you would be changed. You couldn't get through it, I don't think.
Good Lord.
I think,
would you then start like self-medicating to get yourself through your ad days? Like, could you
we offer a service for that, Chris, but you'll have to hear about it first.
Exactly. You'd basically end up in a Brave New World situation where you're like sedating yourself and then sort of just like forced marching yourself through a weird fucked up wonderland of advertising
and billboards.
As you sort of just blearily like stumble.
People on the street asking you about various organizations.
Yeah,
this is almost like a Christ-like moment or something. It's like you're just like it's like the passion of Rodkin. It's just like
capitalism, Jesus.
Just where am I? Click.
He watched ads for our sins.
Right.
God, he watched ads. Yeah. But not so we don't have to watch ads. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. Just his own.
This entertainment isn't free.
Benefit.
He watched ads for your sins.
Right.
You watch ads because your cable package is subsidized by them.
He watched ads for Your Sins, new on HBO.
Anyway, this episode is brought to you by Squarespace.
It's really nice that the Ruinations are only brought to us by Patreon. All right. You see, this person, I always apologize for not knowing how to pronounce her name. I'm sorry. Include a pronunciation guide or let me fuck it up. It's fine. I will happily fuck it up.
Juicy.
Writes, if you could teleport at will but no one else knew of your ability, how would you use or abuse your power?
Well, is this? Would no one ever know about it? If so, I would just I would just teleport in front of people all the time, and they wouldn't care that I did it, and I would think it's hilarious.
I think
forever.
I mean, when you say no one, I think when you say no one would ever know, I think it's incumbent on you. I mean, I think if you teleport in front of them, they wouldn't like. I don't think their brain would invent a story for how you.
I'm sorry, Chris, but I'm gonna have to hold this question to the letter. I can teleport at will, and no one else knows of my ability.
So what does it mean if you teleport into someone's like locked bedroom? Did they?
What does it mean? It means the perfect crime will be committed. Are you kidding me?
But I mean, no, I'm saying from their perspective, what's happening?
They're just like, oh hey.
No. Why not? No. They have to say, like,
sorry,
you came in through the window?
No, Nick,
like, how did you?
Excuse me.
You must have.
If you appear, sorry, you
were here already.
Only implies like a British, like a BBC murder show, which means that how do you
locked bedrooms exist in reality?
I know, but a person appearing in them, I don't know. I imagine what they will say is, "Oh, it's you," and then they'll be shot twice.
They only imply a British mystery show or the scenario being described where you can teleport at will.
I would never go into someone's locked bedroom.
Where would you go?
I don't know, just on the street.
So there'd be so many witnesses. What do they all think is happening?
They're just like, "Oh, Jake's here."
How do they know who you are?
There's a guy. What? Okay. You've probably seen at least like two guys teleport before, and you just didn't even notice. So let's be honest here.
Yeah.
Okay. God, I was about to.
Wait, how did Jake get here?
I've always been here.
What?
I was about to take this to a ridiculous place.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm not going to talk about death or dying or anything.
Okay.
But I'm going to talk about a time that a gun was pointed at me.
Oh, for real?
It was pointed past me. I got off the BART. San Francisco. Hey, when we worked in Potrero Hill, I got off. I took BART, the sort of rail in San Francisco to work, and I saw people were sort of not. They were acting strangely, but I didn't really notice. I had my earbuds in, and I got off at the 16th and Mission BART station, and I walked around a corner, and then my brain sort of just blanked on what it was seeing, and then I just, without really thinking about it, backed up and turned around, and it's because what I had walked into was a police officer pointing a pistol past my head at someone across the street.
Jesus.
And I just went, hello. It was like Grandpa Simpson walking in and then putting his coat up and then immediately turning around and putting his hat on, except that I did it subconsciously. And it was only after I was back on the street around the corner with the other people who were not on the other part of the street that my brain sort of went, what did you just see? What was happening? You're not going to go look at it again, but you remember what it was. You literally were like inches from a handgun pointed near your face by a law officer. And I just went, So like, anyway, in short, had someone teleported in that moment, I would not have fucking cared, and the secret would be totally safe. It was such a fucking crazy shock to my senses to have that moment happen and then just dissipate into the mist, basically. I just walked another direction, didn't look at what it was. It didn't seem to escalate or de-escalate or do anything that my senses noticed as I left.
God, maybe this happens all the time, because one time I was on, speaking of San Francisco public transit-related violence stories, I was on Muni one time, which is the local sort of subway system in San Francisco, and there were two people sitting opposite from each other on the sort of, like the like lateral, seats on the walls, whatever, I don't know the words, and they were facing each other and having sort of an argument, and this kind of thing, absent any additional sort of context, I was like, okay, like people just being like aggravated on public transit, whatever. and I sort of looked down at my book or my phone or whatever I had, and then suddenly I looked back up and one of the guys was stabbed, and I was just, what the
dude, someone teleports every time one of these horrible things happens. That's not actually true. Human beings are just bad.
Yeah. It was intense.
This is a bleak episode of the Ruination cast.
Yeah, sorry. Let's move on.
Anyway, I almost saw someone got shot. I saw a guy get stabbed.
Yep. Daniel writes, let's say you're in a Wizard of Oz situation with genies. Your house lands on an unsuspecting soul.
It's Wizard of Oz with genies.
It's going to be huge.
Your house lands on an unsuspecting soul, which, according to a supposed good genie, was the wicked genie of the East.
What?
Can you trust
this pitch, my friend?
Can you trust this information? What would differentiate a good genie from a bad genie in this situation? Also, the Man in the Bottle episode of The Twilight Zone is pretty good and should be on the Important of True syllabus if one were to exist. I mean, I think there's a really obvious answer to this question, which is that the good genie is the one
That only can tell the truth.
the good genie is the one who takes your wish in the spirit in which you intended it, and the bad genie is the one who follows the letter of your wish precisely in a way that totally hoists you.
But how do you know which of those genies you crushed and which of them you didn't?
Well, you have to just give them wishes.
You're like, well, I wish I could have 10 pounds of food for everyone on Earth. And they're like, ha ha ha! They're like, no. And if they're just like, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. Then you're like, oh, great, good genie.
Well, you never know, though. I mean, maybe
This
that
genie
in
could be
itself
too
is
good or too bad.
Well, no, I mean, maybe that's what they want you to think. I mean, maybe the one who's like, ha ha ha, is like, he's done it. He's solved hunger and is really excited. Whereas the one that's like, that I will give you exactly what you like, is the evil, I don't know. I confuse myself already. I'm just saying you never know with genies.
Couldn't you just have the one genie bring the other genie back to life?
That's a waste of a fucking wish.
Oh, yeah, you could try that.
I mean, and then just observe.
Yeah, do you get 3 wishes? They didn't actually give...
No, there's no stipulation here.
That's true.
Just bring them back and then just see what happens.
Well, maybe they don't
I
give
know.
you any wishes.
Eh. What's the point
Not
of the
enough
genie then?
information.
I don't know. Yeah.
I wish I hadn't killed that genie.
Daniel writes, what does Nick think about the Richard Linklater film Everybody Wants Some?
That's great. I loved it.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
What's your favorite scene?
The one where
Well, the one where the
he
guy
wants
dies.
something.
Oh, some?
Yeah.
All right. Someday you'll watch that movie and talk about it on this podcast. Doug Tobacco asks, it's day 1 at your new job at Boston Dynamics. What do you do first?
Shut everything down.
Ride a robot around for sure.
Yeah,
That's true.
Why do you come on?
Yeah. What is your job? Are you like high enough up that you can do something like that and people won't question you? Well, you could make it happen either way.
I imagine the
I'm
first
sure.
thing that anyone does on their first day of the job at Boston Dynamics is get replaced by a Boston Dynamics robot silently and have it just go and live their life.
Yeah.
They're still alive, though. I said I wasn't going to talk about dying anymore. They're still alive and happy.
Right. I see.
It's like it just takes the load off. You know, it just goes and does all the stuff you don't like.
Sure.
Live a full, healthy human existence.
Watch all your ads for you. Take all your poos.
Oh, I don't know how a robot takes your poos for you, Kristen.
You're going to find out.
The first thing I'm going to do at Boston Dynamics is I'm going
It
to say...
literally takes your poos.
I would walk in and say, hello, it's my first day on the job. If you could take care of bodily functions by performing them in advance for me, how much time would I be freeing up? And then the robot would just leave. It would open the door and walk away. It would say, you're fired. Its mouth would open and a fax would come out that says you're fired, and then it would leave.
Mitch Mastroni asks, what are your favorite tiki drinks? Are there any that you make sure to have ingredients on hand to make at a moment's notice? I don't actually, because so many of them require fresh citrus.
Yeah.
And that's such a pain to keep on hand because it will just go bad and moldy after, a week or so. So I don't keep stuff on hand.
I always
really.
have some citrus on hand, but it's usually not like enough that
You
you
have
would.
to make a whole drink.
Yeah,
It's not like
you
30
would-
limes.
Or like it's just limes, and you need limes and lemons, or
Right.
whatever.
The one that I wish I had on hand more easily was pineapple juice. The way that, at least near me, the only way to get pineapple juice is in like a huge can.
Yeah.
Like the big
the
industrial
There are
Dole
stores
can.
that sell Dole
You can get the
cans.
6-packs.
They
Yeah.
sell
Oh, I
6-packs
don't
of
have that
tiny,
at my
like
local
6-ounce
stores.
cans or whatever.
Oh,
They're
okay,
pretty good.
yeah.
Of like,
I should just get some of those order some online and just
Yeah.
have them around.
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
My favorite tiki drink that is not like an outrageously fancy one, but is still pretty decent is the Sidewinder's Fang. Probably like that's the one that you can get in a lot of like rum and tiki bars, and you can make it home with not too much crazy shopping. But my favorite one is probably the Port Royal at Smuggler's Cove in San Francisco, which is like a sort of spicy fruity drink. It's got like chili stuff dropped into it, like a special bitters. It's really good.
Smuggler's Cove is a pretty good reason to live in San Francisco.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a good reason to move here, but if
you're here, go
you
to it.
live here, it's a great
Yeah.
place to go.
Yeah.
What is the Sidewinder's Fang again? I've had it a million times, but I can't remember what's in it.
Predominantly, right? I mean, orange. It's a lot of orange juice.
It's like orange soda water. It's some sort of passion fruit item, and like, oh man, I used to know.
Yeah, I don't remember the rum.
That Sidewinder's Fang was a thing that I kept ingredients for on hand for a while when I was first like, I can make tiki drinks.
It's
all
Jamaican
the time.
rum. I think dark. I don't know.
Really doing this here.
Aged, somewhat.
I don't think it's those, Nick. What else could it be?
No, it is.
Well, I can find out. Let's find out.
It is though.
I'm gonna put it up against your guys's. Okay, it's dark Jamaican rum, so you're right about that. It's orange juice. You're right about that. Club soda. So Jake got that. Fresh lime juice, which you can pretty much assume. Passion fruit syrup.
Got that.
Okay, so yeah.
And Demerara rum.
Okay.
So yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
Got most.
I mean that's a pretty good like representative tiki drink in general. Orange juice actually not that common, but
No.
But other than that, all that stuff.
A lot of the sort of big bowl drinks are some combination of orange, pineapple, and lime. Like sometimes it's just a way smaller quotient.
Yeah.
There's a sort of a school of them that has that, the kind that's served in a huge ass snifter and maybe has a little flour in it.
Mm-hmm.
A jungle bird I really like. Sarah and I used to make those all the time. That's like Campari, lime juice, also Jamaican rum, and pineapple juice, and something else.
A bird.
All right. What do we got? We're almost done, I think. Stephen Norrie says, have you been watching any of the Winter Olympics? If so, what are your favorite events?
I haven't been watching it, and I'm horrible.
I've been watching a lot of it actually.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I
What are
feel
your
like-
favorite events?
Yeah.
The women's snowboarding half pipe is really excellent. I've actually been watching like odd things like curling, which has actually been fun to kind of get into
cool.
a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in Canada right now, so like the obvious, like the interest in Canada is very different than the interest in the U.S. It's like people are very into curling. Ice hockey is on everywhere.
Right.
Things that you wouldn't normally
Yep.
get exposed to. It's been interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, before the Winter Olympics started this year, I sort of went, I guess I don't care about the Olympics as much as I used to. And then just seeing all the little highlights
Mm-hmm.
over the last week have made me
It's been a lot of like dramatic,
yeah,
like
I'm just like,
fun
God damn it, why am I
stuff.
not watching the Olympics?
Yeah, it's really good.
I always
Yeah.
I always particularly like the Winter Olympics because the sports are so like they're not sports that you ever see during the normal year. You know?
Right.
Yep.
I mean that's true of a lot of the Summer Olympics as well, but also a decent number of the Summer Olympics are things that you would encounter.
Like, it has
sometimes.
basketball in it or
yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
But the Winter Olympics are just such a like rarer collection of sports, at least in the places that I have lived.
Yep.
So I always thought they were fun, but I haven't watched them this year. I regret that. Okay, Evan Parker says, if you had to win a competition against the person to your left, what would you pick?
Oh man.
The Winter Olympics. I'll beat Jake at the Winter Olympics.
And you probably would.
It would be such a worthless competition that there'd be no point
Yeah.
assuming a winner. So Jake has to beat Nick at something.
Yeah, I will challenge Nick to looking him in the eye and being quiet.
Oh God, I would lose that instantly.
Yeah.
This is something
Holy
that,
God.
oh my God.
Oh, there's no way I could stand up to that.
This is a contest that basically happened every single night for years of recording the Idle Thumbs podcast.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah,
when we used to have the noise canceling thing that required us to
Yeah.
get like 5 seconds of silence.
Yeah, it was essentially impossible. It was.
I'm not going to try it right now, even though I'm tempted to, because if I lose, then I'll have to carry that forever. So no, it's not happening. But you already admitted defeat.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
No, I know. I yeah.
So
Nick,
I give
what
up.
would you-
Nick
what would
challenging
you beat
Chris.
me at?
Oh God. Trying to think.
That's what you would challenge Chris to? That's rude.
Wait, hold on. Actually, I think I misunderstood this question.
Oh.
So I thought it meant.
If you had to win,
So what this question actually means, I
competition,
think,
which would you pick?
is
So if you could win,
well, I think what the question means is what's a thing you're good at so that you could reliably win.
Yeah, I answered it, I think, in the spirit of the question.
Right, but what I assumed it meant was you get to win at something.
Oh, no, Chris.
So I'm like, I'm going to pick something that the other
no,
person's
no,
really
no,
good
no.
at, so I can
so you can
like
just like
magically
own them?
shame
yeah,
them.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. I mean,
it's something that I would have to
I'm
be
good
able
at the
to
Winter
reliably beat you
Olympics?
at.
No, that was just a nothing gag. I didn't have a real answer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know if I have a real answer either.
You
Yeah.
do.
I mean, if mine were the latter version, it would be like trivia contest about old Mac software or something. And then I'd be like, I am secretly the true master of this domain, and totally shame you.
Yeah, well.
But in reality, I would get fucking owned to the max in that competition.
Would you? I mean, if you had some sort of imbued power to make you defeat me at that, one, I probably would do way less well at that than you think, and two, I'd be like, wow, Chris knows a bunch of awesome shit about a thing that I'm really interested in. This is rad. Like, I don't really care if I lose in competitions.
I don't really either.
So,
I genuinely don't really care.
Yeah.
Nick, what would you do?
I mean, probably like reliably, I could beat you at something. It would, it would have to be. I mean, like the obvious thing would just be some kind of video game that, like, that you are that I'm good at that you're not good at. I mean, like,
you could
demolish something along the lines where that you're just not interested in being good at it.
It's not that I'm not interested in being good at it, but when we played together, you were always obviously like had the edge on me, even if we were both improving.
Yeah.
I like that you
used.
I think Nick just meant any video game you proposed. To
No.
And then he's like, you're not interested in. You're like, it's not that I'm not interested in StarCraft. I haven't. And Nick was like, I just always assumed you weren't interested in it. You so clearly failed to excel at it that I just assumed that you didn't care. But I humored it because I liked you as a friend. It was fun. You're a fun person to hang out with, even though you never took it that seriously and never cared about it. You just got you accidentally reverse sports data yourself.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah. There was that time that I beat you at QWOP by completing QWOP before you did.
I told that story a couple of days ago to somebody.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was relevant to something. I can't remember why.
Huh.
In fact, I think I was literally talking about the difference between you and me to somebody.
Oh, what is the difference?
The difference is that I think I get furious at something and just kind of just go for something early. I feel like my burnout, I reach a point at which, when it comes to repetitive, things that you really have to practice to get good at, I will get to a point where I'm I'm pretty happy with what I did, but I'm not gonna be push myself to actually perfect this thing. But when you play a repetitive game or something, you're gonna fucking 100% the shit out of it and then just demolish it. And I feel like that.
That's
funny,
that is a stylistic. I don't see myself that way, but that's
really
interesting.
I feel like
I think
that
you do that too, Nick, but it's on a different axis where Chris goes, I think I'm understanding this, and then he just kind of continues to slowly escalate and understand it.
I just flail until I
get
mad,
to a point, and then you're no, and then it's whatever fucking Fast and the Furious, nitrous oxide gets punched, but it's rage, and then you just crush through 1,000,000 walls as fast as you can until you're I finally have basic competency, motherfuckers. God damn it. And then you turn around and go, I don't even see why this is so hard. Then you just immediately turn the other direction.
Right.
It's interesting. Yeah. And I'm just I'm probably just going to be bad at this, and I just walk away. And never learn anything new.
The funny thing is, I think your ceiling for a lot of this stuff is higher than mine. I don't
maybe I don't know.
The propellant.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I'm as competitive as you are. So I think past a point, I'll just if I don't get into that aggravated state, I won't. I run out of fuel in the tank.
Yeah.
Yeah. You completed Celeste, for instance, and I probably never will.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Probably not because you were raging at it, but I just mean
right.
But how many secret endings to Spelunky did Nick find, as opposed to you going entirely into the systems of that game?
And also, I have collected 2 strawberries in Celeste, whereas I think you're collecting every single strawberry. I feel like there's a stylistic difference.
It's true.
Yeah.
And I've never played Celeste.
Nothing's changed.
Yeah. Pretty much.
All right. Final question, I suppose. Fiona asks, because I'm too nervous to IM or message about this, I'm going to make it my Ruination question. I like the idea that you'd be too nervous to ask it privately, but it's fine to ask it publicly to the internet. I mean, I suppose that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care. Ask it any way you want. So she asks, the discount that Patreon patrons get for the store, does this include show shoutouts? It certainly does. And in fact, I think at least 2 of the shout-outs that we've done on Important If True were in fact purchased with Patreon discount codes. Those codes work on anything in the store. So yeah, that's fine. Use them on whatever you want, including the shout-outs.
Should we look to see if there's any late arrivals?
Oh, sure.
Because that is the last question, maybe.
That may or may not be the last question.
The final question on the last ever Ruination cast.
Nope.
Oh, no, it's not true.
Wow, this is taking a really long time to load the page. I'm sorry, everyone who's watching this.
You'd think Patreon can get a better website. Sorry. Only good things from all me on this week's
What are you looking
Ruination
forward
cast.
to in 2018? Patreon getting a better website.
And dying.
It probably won't even though.
Why would I even care about that?
Yeah, you brought it up.
What a waste. What a fucking waste.
Make it faster, idiots.
If I could challenge Chris to anything, it's loading
Yeah.
patreon.com.
I had a customer support call with somebody like 2 days ago, and it was the most surreal thing in the world because this person was just struggling with their computer, and they were saying things like, "Oh my God, please load, please!" But then they started to just get really disturbingly desperate. And so 10 minutes of this goes by, and then it's just like, please, I'm begging you, please.
Oh my God, did they just put you on hold?
I really, why do you do this? Why? Please. Oh, please. And it just went on like that for a long time.
What in the world are you talking
Weird.
about?
I don't know. I'm just filling air.
No, we do not have any more questions.
Good.
I'm very confused. I can't even find the place to ask a question. I'm a backer.
You're probably not backing at a sufficient level.
Oh, I'm not. It's probably.
Anyway, that's the end of our podcast.
That's it.
Bye.
That's it, I guess, for this month's Ruination Online. Thanks to those who backed the Patreon and asked questions. If you are interested in doing that, you can head over to patreon.com/idlethumbs, and the information is on that website. And we'll be back on this feed in a couple weeks with a new episode of Idle Thumbs, the video game podcast. And that is it. That's all we got for now. I am Chris Remo.
I'm Nick Brecken.
I'm Jake Rodkin.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
What is this gross green light?
The Idle Thumbs podcast always has the gross green.
Does it?
Important If True has the gross purple, and Twin Peaks has the red.
All right.
I've got the presets, Chris. I just dial them in every time.
All right, okay.